of it.
Yeah,
I think
here.
this is it here.
Hooked.
Look, so wait, Monday 12 to 6. Let's see. Let's go
Okay.
inside. One customer at a time. How's it
Hey.
going? Good. We are looking for either cod or halibut today. We want to make some fish and chips today. 2 big pieces though. We're hungry folks.
Icelandic cod.
Icelandic cod.
So do you know the difference with ling?
What's the difference between the Icelandic and the ling? Just in
It's more meatier, like a little strong flavor.
Okay.
Any cod.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't like fish and you work here?
Yeah, I love halibut is my favorite. I haven't had pickerel in a really long time. Black cod, wow, look at that one.
So halibut is quite a bit more.
Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Carl and Baking with Becca. Although today we're doing more of a cooking day with Carl. Carl, what are we making today?
We're gonna do classic pub style fish and chips.
Yum, delicious.
Yeah, and regular potatoes, and then also sweet potato fries.
As per your request.
Yeah.
So we're doing sweet potato fries in the oven and twice fried regular baked chips. So those will be really, really good too.
Yeah.
So before we get in, we're actually just going to go through our recipe list and take you through. The recipe is actually fairly simple, and if everything is up to temp and at proper, on proper form, the longest thing that will take is probably the chips in the oven, which are about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But the actual frying, putting together process is going to take a far shorter time. The chips take longer than the fish. The fish you're maybe frying for maybe 5 to 6 minutes. And then the chips themselves, overall, you're probably frying for 10 to 12 minutes. And that's twice. So, it's
Double
a pretty...
fried,
Double
right?
fried, yeah. So, it's a great way to do like a quick, delicious recipe that actually impresses people if, you're having people over now that we're allowed to have a few more people over, which is a celebration. Yeah, starting soon.
Fully vaccinated.
Yeah, fully vaccinated tomorrow. I think you're allowed to have like 6 people at a table outside and a few people... like a small few people at your house, maybe, isn't it? It's crazy. So yay us, that's very exciting. So let's get right into that ingredients list.
Yeah.
So for our ingredients, you first have 2 pounds of white fish.
So we got cod, right? From a nice place called Hooked in the Kensington Market.
Yes, and this gentleman was such an expert on fish.
Which kind of cod was Icelandic?
It was Icelandic cod because this is the most affordable cod that you can get.
And something about the bones, right?
Yeah, and it was also a boneless cod, which was amazing. And I mean, it's boneless because they've taken out the bones for us, not just because it's a boneless fish. That would be like, I don't know, what, an octopus? Yeah. Or a jellyfish. But certainly boneless fish, but they also had, if you want to use it, you can use halibut, you can use black cod, you can be more expensive if you wish, but we're thinking on a budget and quick for time, right, Carl?
Or tilapia.
Tilapia too. So the other thing you're going to put in, so once you've got your fish, and you want your fish at about a room temperature if you can, you want a teaspoon of salt,
We got salt,
a half teaspoon of black pepper, you want 1 cup of all-purpose flour, which Carl is going to grab now.
That's it.
You want 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. These are your seasonings now. 1 tablespoon of paprika if you like things a little bit smoky. You want 2 teaspoons of seasoned salt if you've got it. 1 large egg lightly beaten, and then you want 1 1/3 cups of beer. So today we're using a bone shaker.
It's gonna be hoppy. I don't know. It's the only beer I had at home.
That's okay. The good news is that once it fries and cooks, all of the alcohol comes out, so you're all good. And then, of course, canola oil for frying, or you can use corn oil if you call it corn oil. Either way, both of those oils are great. So the good news is that what we can do is go to the store and buy a really inexpensive canola.
I think that was like $2 a container. They had the big jugs, but it jumped up to $8 or $9.
Which is, yeah, so we wanted to make sure we were just being affordable, and Carl was amazing as usual and got all of these ingredients for super cheap. Under 20 bucks, right, Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
for
is
everything.
my new favorite sound. Cornstarch squeaking.
Oh, I
She
hate
hates
that.
it. She
I hate
hates
it. It's like chalk on
It sounds like
chalk on blackboard.
stepping in snow to me.
Oh.
You don't like it? I'm gonna squeeze it.
Oh, he's gonna squeeze it all the time now. I'm gonna be like, "Rah." No, I won't. I won't actually do that. We don't condone violence on this show. Now that we've gone over our recipe, what we need to do is start thinking about our oil
Yeah.
and our boiling. So
We've got the water and oil preheated.
we do have it preheating, and you'll want to have it preheated too, because honestly, when you've got your batter and everything together, you want to be able to drop that stuff in fairly quickly.
Yep.
So it's a lot of like preparing by heating and then preparing over here and then just putting it all together at the last minute.
That's right.
Yeah. So why don't we start? We'll maybe get started.
Well, first of all,
Oh.
if we're talking about deep frying
Oh.
and cooking in the kitchen,
Oh.
I thought this week's hot tip.
Hot tip.
Fire safety
Fire
in
safety.
the kitchen.
Yes.
So everybody should have a fire extinguisher, even the little ones in your kitchen. Somewhere close by you can grab it.
Yes.
I'm just gonna go over these quickly. This is my helmet from college, so it's nice to use it again.
I like to see your name on a fireman's helmet,
yeah.
sir. It looks pretty good.
So with fire extinguishers, I'm gonna go over, basically everybody kind of knows, but a lot of people haven't actually used them. So when you have yours, you always want to make sure it's charged in the green. And you'll notice letters, A, B, C. Sometimes there's D and K. So A is garbage, wood, stuff like that. B is combustible liquids. C, oh, it's been a while. Electrical fires. D is combustible metals. And K would be for kitchen oils. So if you can find one with a K, small sizes, you usually only get about 5 or 10 seconds. And the way you use it, there's an acronym called PASS, P-A-S-S. So you pull the pin, aim, A, squeeze, and sweep. And aim at the bottom of whatever's on fire. If you feel like you can't do anything about it, you just get out and call 911. With oils though, with cooking oil, people put water on that don't know what they're doing, and it just explodes. So you want to just cover. If you got an oil fire, grab a lid, slide it on, and...
What about flour, Carl? I've heard of people using things like flour. Can you do that to smother?
Any fine particulate, even pepper, anything like that will just combust.
See?
So, yeah.
Urban legend.
So if you can't do anything about it, don't try to be brave. Just leave and call 911. But everyone should have an extinguisher or even a fire blanket. They sell those little red. Sometimes you see them bolted on the wall, and those you would just throw over with something on fire. So that's our hot tip for today: fire safety.
Stay safe, my friends, especially when you're working with hot oils. Thank you, Fireman Carl.
There you go.
Oh my God, this is the best. All right, let's see how long I can wear this before it falls off my head. I think it's gonna fall off right now, to be honest.
Your fire necklace.
Hey, thank you. Oh, all right, that's all good. No, I appreciate it. So while this is going, we're gonna start with 2 separate projects so that we kind of stay on track here. Maybe Carl, you can start putting together the batter, and maybe what I will do is start peeling.
You want to chop?
Or I'm happy if you do want to chop.
I like my fries with the skin, but I don't know about you. You want to? Let me at least rinse them.
Yeah, let's rinse them.
You want to peel?
I love peeling. I think the cornstarch is going to work better if we peel.
True.
To be honest.
That was another tip we had about putting cornstarch on the fries for just making them extra crispy.
Thank you, Ryoko.
Yeah. So what can I do with your batter here?
So, well, if you would like, what we can do is actually we're going to start to put in the flour first. So what you need to do is put in a cup of all-purpose flour.
All right.
1 cup, my friend.
Hot enough for everybody today.
It is hot, yeah. And while Carl's doing that, I'm going to see what kind of a peeler I've got back here. I may have to peel it by hand, which is not my favorite.
No?
No.
You got a good peeler, I thought.
I'm an okay peeler, but I'm not like a pro peeler like you, Carl.
Yeah. Nobody beats me.
Nobody beats you. So we might be switching jobs in that case, and nobody beats you. So I'm going to start by just peeling this potato while Carl is putting in the flour.
Yep.
So again, with the flour, today you don't really need to sift. Because, I would just...
Dump it in?
We're going to dump it in because we're not looking to really leaven too much today. We're just putting it right in there. And here I am peeling away as he puts in his flour.
Yeah.
So after the flour, Carl, the next thing you're going to put in is the spices.
Doing it manually,
I am doing it manually. How do you usually peel a potato?
With a peeler.
Where is the peeler? Do we have a peeler here?
We definitely have a peeler. Let me see.
If we have a peeler, it's better because when I'm doing it this way, I just feel like somebody in kindergarten. I know my mom and quite a few other people are so adept at peeling with knives, which is incredible, but I have never been. How many people prefer to use peelers and how many people prefer to use knives?
Peeler.
You prefer a peeler, yeah?
Yeah, here.
Oh, Carl, I hear him coming with something.
Yeah, I knew it was here.
Thank you, thank God.
I got my flour.
So next thing you're gonna do is put in your garlic powder. So you need a tablespoon of garlic powder, Carl.
Just a tablespoon.
Just a
I don't know,
tablespoon.
maybe I'll make a mistake and add 2.
Well, that's the great thing about seasoning is that honestly, you can adjust it to the way that you feel is good, right? Now, the one thing we want to be cognizant of today is that the beer is going to be pretty strong, so we want to make
Maybe
sure
just
that.
a tablespoon and a half. There's a nice little
Yeah.
piece of plastic hanging out in there.
Well, that's a pro tip. Check your garlic powder for plastic.
Okay.
All right. After that, you want to put in your tablespoon of paprika.
That's a lot of spices. Eh?
It's a lot of spices today in this particular recipe. Now, if you don't like a really spicy recipe, leave out some of the spices. You can get away with just the flour, a little bit of salt. You don't have to put paprika.
Paprika I'm not so familiar with.
It's like that smoky flavor.
Yeah.
How many people use paprika quite frequently? Anybody on the call? Like to use paprika?
I'm all over the place with this camera.
That's okay.
Yeah, what else do you use paprika? I was reading about it,
Like
like that and
sauces
turmeric, or mostly just for color and stuff.
Yeah. You do use it for color, but it does have a distinct flavor.
Yeah.
All right, after that, you need to put in your seasoned salt,
Wow,
2
that's a
tablespoons.
lot of salt, eh?
Yep. Cajun. I don't know what this
Well, this
is.
might take me all day.
Yeah,
Really,
sorry.
so it's just
I would
shake
just shake it in as per, yeah.
Maybe
So
take-
how much
we
salt?
got- we
2
got a box of
teaspoons.
salt.
Yeah, so won't take too long to put in the 2 teaspoons of salt there. And as Carl is doing that,
Damn band.
continuing to peel, here we go.
It's a welt.
Yes, salt, absolutely. Does anybody else have a favorite way to make their fish? The box of kosher is just in the cupboard right there,
You think?
Carl. Yeah, I think so at the top.
The recipe that I use, I think instead of egg, put in baking powder and beer. So baking powder, beer, some seasoning, and the flour, and instead of the egg, and that puffs it up.
Nice, nice.
Oh.
I just sent you a photo of the cherry bars that I made over the weekend.
I would love to see that one.
So they came out like a really nice cake, actually. So
Yeah,
it was
was
great.
great.
I had just enough cherries to do it. So thank you for that.
Oh, so happy to hear that, and I'm glad it turned out well, Ronnie. Ours turned out really well too.
Nice and soft, the cake.
Yeah, it was
Or-
beautiful.
Mhm.
And the salt, so here we are.
Oh, Carl, that's all right. You do you, kid. You do you.
It'll work.
It gets
Just
done
takes time.
eventually.
Oh, maybe a half more.
Yeah, half more. We don't want to be overly
My
salty.
egg, right?
Yep, then your egg
And my beer.
and your beer. I would even hazard to put the beer first and then the egg. Yeah, you have to gradually whisk in the egg and the beer.
Okay.
So you want to beat the egg lightly too before you put it in.
Before.
Yeah, you could put the egg in. You could maybe just beat it lightly in a little bowl. This is just to make sure that we don't get any like clumps of, nobody wants scrambled eggs in their batter.
I kind of do.
You kind of do scrambled eggs and fish and chips. Everybody has their own kind of breakfast
So,
ideal.
let me get the bowl.
Yeah, get your bowl. You're good to go.
And those are oil.
Our oil's looking good. You may want to crank it a little bit.
Yeah, water I turned down because it's a rolling oil now.
Yeah. So for your chips, obviously the boiling water is boiling. That temperature doesn't matter. But for your oil, you want your oil at about 375 so that it evenly cooks.
Now, would you pop in a little thermometer?
You could totally pop in a
Because we were
thermometer.
missing that part, and we're
Yeah.
you know when something's frying, like
I will be testing it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll drop in a piece of potato just to see how it's frying. Just a little piece, and then if it's good, then we can go ahead and drop the fish in. But I usually do it by eye because at home, I don't know, many people do have temperatures.
So you have to be careful
Thermometers?
putting in the fish. Like, will it flake off and stuff like that?
Well, if you want to make sure that your fish, we're going to have to press our fish, and then we're going to have to dry it as much as we can before dipping it into
Press
the
it.
batter. So yeah, I usually press it with a paper towel.
Okay. I don't cook fish often. I'll eat it. I like it.
Yeah.
No, I'm a red meat guy, you know.
And I'm a fishy girl, so that's okay. I love
Well,
fish.
you're Maltese, right?
I
It was
am.
all seafood from
It's
you
the
guys.
Mediterranean. Yeah. So I mean, we've got
Classic.
that kind of fresh fish.
Oh, let's not knock this over.
No,
Or
I-
you can flour it before putting it in the batter
That's
as
true.
well, or dry it. Your choice.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna.
I won't. I'll tell you what. I won't peel these. Okay.
That's crazy purple. I don't know if they colored
Now he's uncomfortable, so I'm gonna peel it.
I've never seen a sweet potato so white inside and so purple outside. It must be a different kind than the ones I used to.
Yeah,
get,
so
orange.
you might be used to the regular sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are a little different. Can
This is
anybody
fine.
tell us the difference between the two kinds of sweet potatoes?
And these ones were like they had huge, like bigger than my head. So.
That's all right. We're gonna have a good time.
So just drop this in, eh?
Yeah, slowly. Do you want help while you're whisking? Do you want me to drop it for you?
Oh wow, I'm listening. Okay.
Yeah. So
Let's do
you
that.
ready, spaghetti?
Let's show the
All
camera.
right. Show the camera. Here comes a little bit.
Paprika and flour.
It's gonna get lumpy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be lumpy because we need to
Then
put
we
our
need
beer in.
beer.
Yeah. So there's your lumpiness.
Okay.
We need. Oh, we're just gonna use. So do we have a measuring cup? Again, just in case anybody wants to see the kind of beer that we're using today, it's a very hoppy beer, but you can really use any beer that
Yeah,
you like.
that's Amsterdam. That's an Ontario beer. I like local.
So you're gonna have to let the head come off here for
I
a
wish I
second.
could just drink it.
No, I know.
It's a bit early.
A little too soon in the day
Okay,
for
so
that.
that's almost a cup. I think we have a lot
Okay.
of foam there. What else?
All right.
Is it a cup and a half?
It's a cup and 3/4.
Okay, we'll
There.
add a little more.
There we go.
What do you
We'll
think?
leave
That's
it like
enough?
that for
I
now.
might even add to the color
Set your
because
beer
it's kind of
aside.
a dark beer.
Yeah, so he's gonna make sure that that comes into a nice pasty kind of thing. We need to make sure that there's no lumps in there. So wow, is that ever dark?
I'm working on it.
Yeah, that looks good. He's gonna beat that out while I continue going on the sweet
Yeah,
potato
paprika's
here.
nice in there.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Nice.
So he's gonna beat it out so that there's no lumps.
Yep.
And then we'll get right on to our fish right after that, okay? So I'm just going ahead here with this sweet potato.
Oh yeah, let's see.
And then Carl, I might ask for your help to chop these potatoes into even,
Chopping's what I do best.
I know, he's a king at chopping.
Just busy work.
King at chopping, I'm the king at, what am I the king at, Carl?
Oh, I don't know, kneading forks
Kneading forks?
and measuring cups.
No, come on.
Carl, I need a new one.
Carl.
Do we have
Maybe
a
I'm just the
peeler?
king at delegating.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
delegate.
No, she's the boss. Applesauce.
Oh my gosh.
Which way?
Here we go. All right, so going down this way. Gonna finish this
So
off.
this is looking smooth. I'm gonna
Let's
show
see,
that
how
there.
smooth, no lumps whatsoever. Oh, it's beautiful, Carl. You
Yeah.
did a great job. So you want to see the consistency on that, everyone? He'll move the camera up so you can see the consistency. You definitely don't want lumps in your batter, that's for sure. He's really managed to work that out without overworking the gluten, which is great.
So if you kept stirring, it gets kind of tacky or?
Well, it can get really gluey, like
Okay, so
almost.
leave it, leave
Yeah,
it, okay.
don't overwork it once you've got the. I mean, I think that's the general rule with anything.
Just
all right,
lumps out?
lumps out.
Yeah, okay.
Now, here we are.
Those potatoes, when we come
It's
around
pretty
and,
okay. I mean, I'm not gonna worry so much about getting all of the skin off the sweet potato. Just get some of it. I actually find the sweet potato skin, like you do with the regular potatoes, is part of the charm. But
I'm just a fan of leaving the skins on everything.
yeah, no, that's cool.
You know what?
Everybody
The
has
cornstarch was the.
that's what I was
That's
thinking
the
is the
key.
cornstarch, right? So I'm gonna put this over here. So what you wanna do with your potatoes now is cut them into even kind of sticks, which are really, really important. So nice even squares. And once those are cut, and the same thing, these can be a little thinner.
Yep.
So the sweet potato fries can be thinner.
Okay, so
These
I.
need to be chunky.
You want me to start cutting?
Yeah, if you can start cutting, and then we will get into the parboiled
You're
section.
gonna do the potatoes.
So I'm gonna leave you for both of these things, and I'm gonna get on to portioning and preparing the fish. So I'm gonna move this aside here. So I'm gonna get a little one.
So you want them in fry shape?
Yes, sir. If that's okay with you, that's good for me.
Now, how do you like them? Thin or like home fries?
I like them thick cut, but you make them the way you
Let's
want to
do
make
thick
them.
cut. I've never done this.
This is your week. I like them. They're kind of like
Would you go across and then down like a grid?
I kind of do. I kind of go into like squares. So I'm happy to have you do it the way that you do it, though.
I'm curious. Yeah, let's give it a go here.
Yeah, I like to have like nice thick chunks. But that
Okay.
being said, so you're almost cutting them into like blocks.
That's
long
what I was
blocks.
thinking, like
Yeah.
cut a block and then just fry it off.
Of course, yeah. Do it the
Now,
way
how
you're
thick
comfortable.
is too thick for frying? I mean, that's a good shape.
Yeah,
right?
that's a pretty good. That's
Do
a
they
pretty good
shrink
shape.
much?
They do. So
Yeah.
you want to just about like that is perfect. Yeah, those are amazing, Carl.
Okay.
And look at that. So Carl's tip is to.
You know what? How do they get in McDonald's? Sometimes you get a fry that's like this long.
I think
You
they
think
maybe
it's
have
fake?
like a super
You think it's
mandolin or
fake?
something
Or they
in their
got
factory.
Super potatoes.
I think they've got a mandolin in their factory. Maybe it's fake. It's hard to know. I think a lot of companies now are moving away from faking things
Yeah.
only because they have to, right?
I
So
wish
that's
it would.
really, really important.
You know, I saw Subway.
Yeah.
They tested their tuna sandwich.
Oh, and they couldn't find
They
it.
didn't find any tuna DNA.
However, what I did want to say is that scientists did say to that,
Yeah.
that finding tuna DNA, once the tuna has been processed in any way, so cooked or baked,
So there is
is
something.
very,
to it.
there is something to that science that basically when you cook something, it changes the actual molecular structure
True.
of it.
DNA will break down with heat.
It will, but I mean, who knows? Like, I don't know what McDonald's does. I can't speak
Nobody
to.
does.
No, but that being said, I know that was the Subway. That was for Subway, and
Yeah.
I know that there was an
Ooh.
argument to be had about that.
Let's get a look at this.
So let's
fish
take a
here,
look
yeah.
at the fish first, so that everyone can see. So this is we got that Icelandic cod.
Look at that.
You can see that it's already been deboned, which is half the battle. Honestly, it's wonderful to get a fish and fillet a fish if you have all those skills.
Would you do that normally?
I
you
do-
have to take the bones out.
I do that with a lot of things, not with fish and chips.
Yeah.
But I do it with when I'm like cooking like a whole rainbow trout or something like that. Like
Some bones go soft enough to just eat.
yeah, like
right?
you can actually, if you actually cook it on the bone, you can actually peel the entire thing. Like if it's sliced, you can peel it out fairly easily. But I mean, there are lots of cases with salmon and other kinds of fish where if you get a whole fish, then you have to butcher the fish and take out and pin bone it, which is a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Have lots of people had to pin bone fish?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you find that process? Are you a pro now, or is it just a pain? Do you have like the tweezers? Yeah, yeah. Right? So I'm gonna grab really quickly I need some paper towel. Where am I?
Oh, I got a bunch here. I can rip more later. You
Oh,
take
okay.
that.
I'm sorry,
No,
Carl.
no. I was
Such a
saving.
good.
That was
I
my
was saving
favorite.
it to take the oil
That
off.
was my favorite paper towel.
I know, and
I'll
here
share,
I am,
I'll
just
share.
making a hot mess.
I'll share.
So, as per Ronnie, you can definitely dust your fish with flour. What I'm doing is I'm just wrapping it here, and I like to press my fish out a little bit. Now, I don't want it to be overly pressed. Obviously, you don't want to damage the fish, but I am trying to get all of that extra moisture out so that the batter sticks.
It's a little bit of pressure. eh?
There's a little bit of pressure, and you can see, like, look at this side of my paper towel here. I'm just gonna hold it up. You can see where, like, the moisture has come through on that. You wanna see a little bit of moisture coming out on your fish. Now, if you are using pre-frozen fish, again, you wanna let it come to room temperature. Somebody who's making fried fish will always say, please use fresh fish if you can. It's always better if you can use fresh fish. But if you're not using fresh fish, which is fine, just make sure it's gonna have a lot more water in there
From frozen.
from being frozen.
Yeah.
So let it come to room temperature, press it out. You may want to press it out twice, and then dust with flour, then put it in as well. So if it is frozen, I would recommend taking Ronnie's route of 100% using flour.
I think it's gonna be too
That's
thick.
no, Carl, that's perfect. We're gonna pre-boil them.
Okay.
So as soon as those are done, Carl's gonna pop those into the boiling water. So what we've got there is boiling salted water. And I'm gonna set this down up here. The boiling salted water has been on for a little while. You want a nice rolling boil, and you wanna boil it for 5 to 7 minutes.
Just to soften them up.
To soften them. You want a
Yeah.
parboil, right? So, oh wow, so you can see with this one right away, look how much liquid was in that.
Juicy fish.
Juicy fish. Juicy, juicy, juicy. What I'm gonna do is cut these. Now, usually I would keep them in nice long sizes,
Yeah.
but
You
I'm
wanna-
gonna cut it in half
That's
today.
what I was thinking. Then it's share.
Rebecca,
Yes,
Rebecca,
yes.
could you please tell me this kind of fish is very smelly or not?
It has a bit of a fishy,
little bit,
a little bit, but not too bad, Shanaz.
Does it smell like?
And when they're cooked, Shanaz, they're amazing. If you're thinking about a really, really smelly, strong fish, you're probably thinking maybe more towards pickerel.
Trout and stuff like
yeah,
that.
now
The lake freshwater. Right?
freshwater is a little and when you're dealing with things like freshwater fish, they have that bit of a muddy. They can have that bit of a muddy taste to them. This kind of a fish won't have it. It'll be a little bit smelly here, but once it comes out, it doesn't smell at all, and it's super flaky. And the beautiful thing about it is the firmness of the flesh just flakes away. Really yum.
Because I've never tried codfish. I don't know whether it smells or not.
Not so bad.
Not
so
too
far,
bad.
yeah.
Not too bad at all.
I don't like fishy kind of smell stuff. That's what kept me away from seafood for so long. So are we doing both at the same time?
So we're gonna do I would start this
Potatoes,
first.
yeah.
Potatoes first. We're gonna actually parboil the potatoes first. Then we're gonna cook our fish first in the oil, because what we're gonna do with our potatoes once they're parboiled, we're gonna fry them once, and then we're gonna have to dress them in cornstarch to make them crispy, which is a great idea.
Oh, I lost a few.
That's okay. Floor fries.
Nobody saw it.
No, not in there. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was coming with the floor fries. I was like, 5 minute,
Well, I
5
am.
second rule doesn't.
I
Oh,
did
you
there.
washed it.
I rinsed it off.
You rinsed it off. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back around towards me here. But certainly, Carl, now with this one, I'm going to get you to cut this. You're going to put a little bit, you're going to dress it in some oil, some salt, and pepper. And then you're just going to throw it on a tray in the oven for 20 minutes.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Same size.
Same size. Okay, this
Oh,
still
that's
feels
tough.
pretty wet on one side, so I'm gonna press it twice. But Shanaz, if you go to your fishmonger, either at the grocery store, or you can actually, if you're downtown in the market, there's some great fish stores in the Kensington Market. They're very friendly, and they'll tell you like what's good, what's not good, and if it's your first time.
Yeah, he was so helpful.
The young man who helped us was so lovely, such a nice person. And it was,
Store you said?
What's that?
Shanaz?
What was the name? What
name
was
of
the
the
name
store was-
of the store?
Hooked, Hooked.
Yeah.
We can actually link to it so you can see.
Everything looks super fresh.
Oh my
and,
gosh, and it's beautiful and firm. And
just a little store. They are weird hours. It was like 12 to, what was it, 12 to 4?
yeah, you'll find, especially with the places that sell fresh fish, it's kind of like a bakery. Some days they're open, some days they're not. And also, given that it's been a pandemic, hours are reduced, right? So, but honestly, great little store, great person inside giving advice. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
So-
Sharp look.
He's on a
Oh.
pan.
Yeah, we're gonna put these into a pan, but I would say, like, if you want to, before you put them onto a pan, you can throw them into a bowl, dunk in
Thank
some
you so
olive oil, dunk in some salt and pepper,
Okay.
and you can kind of see Carl is cutting these finer, which I actually love
Yeah.
because they're gonna be in the oven. So these are cut a lot finer than the other chips. Let me
So
bring
we're
that down.
not,
a
we're
little
not
more.
deep frying these, eh?
We're not deep frying these ones.
Whoa,
We're
so
baking these.
Two kinds of fries.
Two
That's a
kinds
good-
of fries.
Good idea.
Because some people don't like deep fried
True.
fries.
Very true.
Yeah,
And these are going to be huge.
they are.
McDonald's length. There
They
we go.
are. So I'm just cutting down the center of these fillets. I want to keep them fairly uniform in
Look at
size.
this. Look at this.
Hee-hee.
Huge.
Yes. So I want to keep these fillets uniform in size. You can see that they're fairly uniform, and the thickness is pretty much the same. Again, I'm going to do the same thing on this end. Cut right down the middle. Then we've got 4 fillets, which is nice. So uniform. Now this one here is a little thinner. This fillet. So what I'm going to do is put these 2 in first, let them cook, and then cook these 2.
You know what the best part about having them smaller
What's
is
that?
you get more batter on there.
You do get
More
a lot
crispy
of batter.
edges. Yeah.
Now, we can totally dust these with a little bit of flour because Ronnie made that awesome suggestion.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll take a little bit of flour and we'll dust them. Where is the
Well,
flour? Or
behind
we can
the-
dust them with
Behind
cornstarch.
the mixer. Yeah, cornstarch is here. We just got to crack it open.
We gotta crack it? Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a little bit of flour, just a tiniest little bit. I'm gonna put it, so because I'm not, I put it in with the beer. I didn't realize there was
Now you
still
gotta
beer in there.
drink it.
I gotta drink it. I'm not drinking flour
There's
beer.
another
I'm just gonna grab, hang on, take 2,
Okay.
a little tiny bowl. If you don't have a little tiny bowl, you can use a little mug, whatever you've got around, as long as it doesn't have leftover beer in it. You just throw that in there. I am gonna throw in, so Carl has some,
Well, I brought Cajun out because I don't know, I was gonna add it to my fries and stuff.
yeah.
But
I'm gonna put it on here. Is that okay,
Oh, you
Carl?
know what? I like getting creative.
Yeah, so I'm putting a little bit of his Cajun because Carl is a spicy Parker, so I'm gonna put it in there. That being said, you can do anything. You can add, I always recommend adding a little bit of seasoning to the flour when you're gonna dust it because you know what? It all comes through in the end,
From
no
the
matter
fish.
what.
Now, another good one for the fries, I think, is pepper. Sometimes people go salt, pepper.
Yeah, you can totally go salt, pepper on your fries. Okay, so I would get a bowl.
Oh,
And then I would get some oil.
okay.
And then start tossing. Now I can already smell these Cajun seasonings on the inside, so this is already gonna be a good start to the fish. Plus the beer batter on the inside. So here we are, drying out our fish a little more, making sure that our batter sticks.
Would you use olive oil?
Yeah, for these I would 100% use olive oil. Now, it's not good to use olive oil for frying, number one, because it's expensive.
And I think the flash point of olive oil is pretty low.
Yeah, so you want to
It'll
be
burn,
careful.
or worse, it's catching on fire.
Exactly. So you always want to use corn, canola, or peanut oil. I love peanut oil. Does anybody here like to? We're just not doing it today because honestly, number one, it's expensive. Number two, it's also a taste thing for everyone, and allergies,
yeah.
right? We got to think of everyone here, not just me.
Peanut oil, you find the flavors very different, hey?
I do. I love the flavor of peanut oil. I just find it brings a real nice bite to everything.
Okay, so
All
I'm
right.
just hand turning
tossing.
these.
Now
Yeah.
you toss in a ton of salt and pepper.
Oh yeah?
Throw them on a pan,
Sorry,
and away
excuse
you
my
go, sir.
reach, so
What kind of oil, Rebecca?
What kind of oil am I using for this one?
No,
So-
you mean the expensive one.
Oh, the expensive one I find is peanut oil. What do you use, Lynn? Pardon? So right now we're using corn oil, which is like Mazola
same,
oil.
yeah.
It's the same thing, Lynn.
So I'm bringing you a hot fry here.
So bring me a
Careful,
fry.
careful. We're just gonna.
Maybe a little bit more, Carl. Like maybe
How
like
did you know?
2
Just
minutes
from the feel?
of it. I want maybe another 2 minutes on there.
Okay.
And then we'll pull them out. So we have those chips in hot boiling water. We're gonna give it, it's 11:35, we'll give it till 11:37.
Oh my-
All right,
So
so now
is the deep frying pretty quick?
the deep frying takes about 5 to 7 minutes.
Nice.
So that's why I'm not dunking it
One.
in. You can go directly in. The-
Rebecca, come. Mine is this one.
Yours is this
Oh,
one?
the Mazola. I
The
see it, I see
Mazola,
it.
oh, we see it, Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, Lynn.
Thank you for grabbing that. You had
Thank
it
you.
handy.
Yeah.
So Carl, we can go ahead and toss that right in the oven now.
Would you coat the pan with anything, or because they're coated?
Because I've coated the fries, I'm pretty okay with them just
So
like
these
that.
look looking good.
Those are looking awesome. Let me just turn this so we can actually
Yeah.
see. Those are the fries going in the oven. I'll
Nice
follow
and big.
Carl into the oven.
I got greasy hands there.
Nothing wrong with greasy hands.
Oh, I lost
That's okay. Here we go.
One thing you can do instead of parboiling, you can use your microwave to
That's it, that's the quick
kind of
one.
pre-cook and
Smart.
then fry.
Yes.
You can also do that with something like chicken. If you're barbecuing, you can kind of pre-cook chicken in the microwave and then
Yeah.
just grill it so it doesn't overcook.
Absolutely. So Ronnie, when you're doing that, how long do you put it in for? Recommending?
You know, it like medium nuking. Just you kind of feel it out when you're getting when it's starting to soften.
Okay.
You do the fork test, right?
I like the forecast.
Exactly.
So just gonna move some stuff
let's
out of the
clean
way
up a
here.
little bit.
It's always important. A clean kitchen means a clean mind. Again, what does that mean? It means our kitchen is always a disaster.
So you're
That's
gonna dip
okay.
them just straight
We are
in?
gonna dip them and then drop them, but before we do that, I wanna test the oil with a chip.
The old dip and drop.
The old dip and drop, yeah, so I'm gonna actually, we'll just decide whether or not this oil is hot enough.
It's been on for a good while.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Well, you're
take them.
gonna.
Now, we don't want, I see the oil is smoking, so we may wanna turn it down a little bit. We don't want it to burn. We're gonna turn on, Carl, we're turning on, what is that there, the
It's
fan?
our fan.
We're turning on the fan to make sure that we don't cause a flash point, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just letting the
It's
oil,
very hot.
yeah, so the oil is incredibly hot. We can drain the potatoes now, Carl.
Okay.
I would pull them out,
Yep.
and I'm going to dip and drop next to the stove because I want to be able to hold it here, let all the extra batter, and then back and forth and dunk it. So we are going to do this first, only because honestly, usually it's nice to have 2 pots of oil going if you're going to do it at the same time. But we don't have that luxury here, and I'm assuming at home many of us don't want to have multiple pots of oil on. So I recommended that we do it in the same one. We're gonna do the fish first so that the cornstarch again doesn't kind of conflate the taste of the fish. We don't want anything to do that. So we're just letting the oil temp come down a little bit. Carl is dumping out the potatoes. I'm gonna dry one and test it because you don't want to put something soaking wet in a super hot oil. That's just not a good idea. It's gonna cause a lot of a spark point, like it'll just spit back in your face.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that. So I am gonna dry it off, and I think I need more paper towel. Where do I get it? Is it around here? Right behind me? Underneath?
Paper towel?
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, Carl, you're the best. Thank you, my love.
I'm gonna crack a window.
Yeah, Carl is gonna crack a window because it's getting super hot in here. And that's the one thing that you're gonna find is that it gets pretty hot. Now I can tell that this fry is done, not just by the look of it, but also by the feel of it. It feels a little bit fragile, but not too fragile. So Fireman Carl's on the job now because we are getting a bit smoky. Carl, shall we just, are you okay bringing this over here?
Yeah, I'm just gonna kill the heat for now.
Oh, we're gonna use it now.
Yeah, okay. If you wanna get going, I'll
Yeah.
take care of this.
We maybe don't want to turn the heat off because if we do, it won't cook. I would maybe just turn it on low. All right, so what I'm gonna do, so I can tell right away that this oil is ready to work. You can see right here. Now you can drop it in with a tong, but you can see right away, look how brown that's turning right away. So we brought that oil down in temp a little bit because if I hold this in here for a moment, which I would recommend using tongs if you've got them.
Yeah. Now, do you think there's too much oil? Because when we add fries, it's gonna.
So that's pretty hot. So you can tell that that oil is really, really hot because it's already browning and it hasn't really touched the inside too much. So we're gonna try to drop the temperature a little bit. I think maybe you are ready. I've turned it right off for a moment.
There's some holes if you need them.
Yeah, can I actually have those ones, Carl? Because those ones will be more protective of me. So you can put on a pair of heat-resistant gloves if you wish to do this as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this over. Carl, do you wanna join me?
Sure.
All right, so we'll turn it back to low in just a moment. We're letting the temp of the oil come down just slightly to low. I would have it on super low.
What do you want me to do?
And then now what we're gonna do is bring this over. Maybe you wanna control the camera. If you wanna do one too, Carl, you feel free. We're gonna start with about 2 pieces at a time. We're gonna time it so it's, Carl, do you know what time it is?
23:41.
Okay. So 23:41, is that on time? That'll change?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we've got that in there. I'm gonna pull it out because we're gonna let the excess kind of fall off of it. You can see it's like quite thick, but I do wanna make sure that I'm not, all right, there we go. Oh, I'm just pulling the batter off of these. So, all right, gonna go ahead,
Drop it in.
pick this up. Then drop it in slowly, okay? So I'm just dropping off that excess batter. Here we go. 1, 2, and in. All right, there we go. You can see that some of the batter has already come up, so we have to turn it down to super low because that's already cooking pretty strongly. And it's got to stay in there. Ooh, and you can see it's quite hot. I think the oil might be too hot.
I turned it off.
1, 2, you want to show what I'm doing here, mister? Awesome. So here's our second piece. We're just letting that drip off a little bit. Here we go. It's gonna drop the temp a bit. 1, 2. So the nice thing is that actually the batter is sticking quite nicely to the fish, which is good. So we're gonna leave this in for about 5 to 7 minutes and let it come up. It's not coming up as quickly as the other one because the oil's still not perfectly to temperature. But we're gonna give it a go and see how it turns out. 1 piece.
Okay.
So leaving the oil on, not draining the oil as per Roddy's suggestion. Dripping it off here. You want to taste it? Oh, this is hot. Wait. 2 pieces.
Interesting color that beer made, the batter.
Yeah, and also you'll notice that the first one puffed up huge. This didn't puff up huge because the temp that we used was a little bit different.
So temperature is key, I think.
Temp is key. You want 375.
No
All right.
guessing on strange ovens.
Yes.
Neither of us know this one. It seems to go very hot.
Yeah, it sure does. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, Carl, do you want to step back? Because
Sure.
I'm going to do the fries. I'm just
You're
worried.
gonna dump?
I'm going to try to put, well, I don't want to touch them too much.
Yeah, just
So just slowly. These are covered in cornstarch. In they get.
Let me help you.
Yep. So in they go. All the way in.
Okay.
And there we go. And we don't want to handle them too much because they're so fragile. But we're going to cook those now for another 3 to 4 minutes before we serve. Okay.
Yep. Oh.
All right, so beautiful. So once you got that done, then you want to season your chips. So we're gonna just dunk a bunch of salt. The salt is great on hot chips. We're gonna grab a few of the chips. I need to grab, maybe we don't have clean tongs anymore, eh? Oh, Carl, so great. So we're gonna do that. This is looking pretty good. And then we're gonna have, Carl, do you want tartar, cream of tartar, or anything like that, Carl? Cream of tartar. Tartar sauce. Nobody wants cream of tartar in their stuff. So you would have it with, you can have it, if you have time to make some tartar sauce, you can certainly make tartar sauce, have it with a bit of lemon, or you could have it with ketchup, whatever really strikes your fancy. So we'll put a few of those on the plate. Beautiful. Okay, Carl.
You want to cut into it?
Ready for your test?
This is fish, yeah.
We're gonna have a look at the fish, and Carl's ready for his taste test. We'll pull out the sweet potatoes next, but in the meantime, I'll get those and you go ahead and have your taste test. Take a look into the fish, see how it turned out. How is it, Carl? Flaky?
Looks great and crunchy and flaky. Yeah.
All right, let's give it a taste.
Mm-hmm. That's a good batter.
Good. Now, for those of us who want a piece of baked fish, there's your baked fish, and here's your baked fries. So if you want a healthy version of sweet potato fries.
It all looks great. Congratulations.
You survived.
We did. Oh my gosh.
Go team.
We made it.
Oh,
And these are delicious.
yeah.
So whichever ones you prefer, you do you.
And even that baked fish came out gorgeous.
It's my favorite dish.
Really, really good. So friend, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah.
We totally appreciate you bearing with us as we went through our kitchen disaster.
We can't always be perfect.
We can't always be perfect, but we can always do our best. Friends, thank you so much for being here. We love you. We appreciate your time. Thanks
Thank
for
you
bearing
so
with
much.
us.
Thank you, Becca and Carl.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.